Round Pushpin Section 1. The conversation that sparked it all. Word count, 500. Purpose. Establish characters, setting, and initial innocent relationship. Lay emotional groundwork and plant seeds of subtle attraction or vulnerability. Key points to cover. Introduce the narrator, main character. A thoughtful, emotionally contained person. Introduce her. Possibly a close friend's girlfriend, sister-in-law, colleague, or someone off-limits. Their first meaningful conversation. Maybe over coffee, late-night chats, or after an emotional event. Their bond forms naturally. Humor, shared pain, or emotional resonance. Innocent beginnings. Emphasize it meant nothing at the time, but narrator remembers every detail. Closing sentence of section. Hint of discomfort. Looking back, maybe it wasn't as innocent as I told myself it was. Round Pushpin Section 2. Crossing invisible lines. Word count, 500. Purpose. Show how friendship deepens into emotional intimacy. Introduce internal conflict and moral boundary. Key points to cover. Narrator and her begin texting more, talking late, meeting more often. She opens up about relationship troubles, or feeling unseen. Narrator starts to see her in a new light. Moments that almost crossed the line. An almost touch, a long look, a night they talked until 3 a.m. Narrator starts justifying the bond. I was just being a friend. Conflict heightens. Narrator tries to pull away but can't. He dreams about her or feels jealous when she talks about others. End on a tipping point. Maybe she leans on his shoulder or they hold hands for too long. Closing line. I should have stopped it right then. But I didn't. Round Pushpin Section 3. The night everything changed. Word count, 500. Purpose. This is the emotional climax. They cross the line, physically or emotionally, and there's no turning back. Key points to cover. Build up to the night. High emotion, maybe she had a fight with her partner or a vulnerable moment. Scene unfolds in detail. Rain outside, dim lights, quiet music, sensory immersion. Their conversation starts cautiously but grows deeper. She cries or confesses something. Moment of silence, tension builds, then a kiss or even more. Internal monologue. Guilt and desire mix. I knew it was wrong but I didn't stop. The aftermath. Silence, heavy breathing, realization. She gets up, leaves, or he stares at the ceiling unable to sleep. Final line of section. I had crossed a line I swore I never would, and there was no undoing it. Round Pushpin Section 4. The weight of silence. Word count, 500. Purpose. Address consequences, internal reflection, and emotional fallout. Bring closure and moral resonance. Key points to cover. Days after silence between them. Cold text. Awkward avoidance. He struggles with guilt, especially towards the person he betrayed, e.g. best friend, brother, spouse. She acts distant, maybe regretful or simply scared. Narrator reflects on what they had versus what they lost. Powerful emotional moments. Sitting in the dark, rereading texts, deleting photos. Decide not to tell anyone, or if he does, show the emotional consequence of it. Final reflection. Some lines once crossed change who you are forever. End with a lingering thought, not blaming her, but taking full responsibility. Final sentence suggestion. It started with an innocent conversation, but I knew deep down it was always more than that. White heavy check marks storytelling principles followed. Conflict-driven plot. Emotional tension builds naturally in each section. Character development. Internal monologue reveals gradual transformation. Pacing. Smooth rise to climax in Section 3, followed by reflection and resolution. Faceless format compatibility. Focus on internal thoughts, environmental description, and subtle actions. No face needed. Emotional hook. Begins with innocence, turns into forbidden longing, a universal and engaging theme. Would you like a script version of this outline next? section by section, exactly 500 words each, for a video narration? Here is part 2 of the story. Crossing invisible lines. Word count, 500. Faceless format, rich in emotional detail and inner conflict. Memo Part 2. Crossing invisible lines. After that first conversation, something subtle but undeniable began to shift. We didn't plan it. We didn't even talk about it. But we started seeing more of each other. Accidentally at first, then, not so accidentally. Every time I was at my friend's place, Lara and I would find ourselves alone. Not for long. Just moments. Moments that stretched. Moments that lingered. And in those moments, we said things we wouldn't say if anyone else was in the room. She started texting me. It began with a simple, "Hey, thanks for listening the other day." I replied with a "No problem. You're easy to talk to." And just like that, a door cracked open. First it was harmless. A meme here, a random song link there. But soon the texts grew longer, deeper, more personal. We started sharing things that didn't belong in a friendship. Things like, "Sometimes I feel like I'm just going through the motions with him. You're one of the only people who actually sees me. I wish we met under different circumstances." Late-night messages turned into long threads that spilled past midnight. I would lie in bed, staring at my screen, knowing I should put the phone down, but not wanting to. Not able to. There was this one night. I was at a bar with a few friends, phone buzzing in my pocket. It was her. "He's asleep. Can't talk. Just needed to tell someone I had a horrible day." 10 minutes later I was outside in the cold, headphones in, listening as she talked about everything that went wrong. Her job, her dad's health, her loneliness. I said the right things. I told her she was strong. I reminded her she wasn't alone. When she whispered, "Thank you for being you," something twisted in my chest. I started lying to myself. We're just friends. She needs someone. I'm not doing anything wrong. But every laugh that lasted too long, every glance that lingered, every late-night call blurred the line further. One afternoon I came over when my friend was running late. Lara let me in. We sat on the couch just talking. And then she touched my hand. Just lightly. For a second. Neither of us moved. I felt the weight of that small gesture settle between us like a brick. We didn't talk about it. We never did. But everything changed after that. Suddenly, silence felt louder. Eye contact felt dangerous. And every goodbye felt like it carried a question neither of us dared to ask. I started dreaming about her. And not just physical things. I dreamt of her laugh, her voice calling my name, her falling asleep beside me. Scared me. I told myself I needed to stop. Pull back. Cut the cord. But I didn't. Because somewhere deep inside I didn't want to. And I think neither did she. White heavy check mark. Let me know when you're ready for part 3. The night everything changed. Or if you'd like a voiceover style edit or a video script adaptation. Memo part 3. The night everything changed. It was raining that night. The kind of soft, steady rain that makes the world feel quieter than it should. I remember the sound of it tapping against the windows. A steady rhythm like a warning I couldn't hear clearly. She had called me. Her voice was low, shaky. "Can you come over? Just for a little while. Please." I didn't hesitate. Her apartment was dim, lit only by the glow of a single lamp in the corner. She looked tired. Not just physically, but in that way people look when they've been holding something in for too long. She opened the door, didn't say anything, just stepped aside to let me in. There was silence at first. The kind that stretches, fills a room without saying a word. Then she spoke. "We had another fight. He doesn't listen. He doesn't even see me anymore." I sat on the couch. She poured us both a glass of wine. We didn't toast. Just sipped in silence. As the minutes passed, words started spilling out. From her. From me. Confessions we hadn't dared to say aloud until that night. She told me how lonely she felt. How she tried to make things work, but kept losing pieces of herself in the process. I told her I knew what that felt like. We weren't just talking anymore. We were exposing the quiet, aching corners of ourselves. She cried at one point. Not loudly, just a tear slipping down her cheek that she didn't bother to wipe. I reached out without thinking and gently touched her face. That moment hung in the air. Heavy, fragile, charged. And then we kissed. It was soft at first, uncertain. But it deepened quickly, fueled by everything we'd been holding back. Months of stolen glances, midnight messages, and quiet longing burst all at once. Time folded in on itself. For a while nothing else existed. Just the rain, her breath, and my heartbeat pounding in my ears. But afterward, when the silence came back, I felt it. The weight, the guilt, the reality. She lay beside me, eyes wide open, staring at the ceiling. I didn't know what to say. Every possible sentence felt too heavy, too wrong. She finally whispered, "We can't undo this." And she was right. I wanted to reach for her, to say something that would make it all okay. But I couldn't. Because I knew it wasn't okay. Not even close. Sat up. Pulled on my shirt. The room felt colder somehow. I didn't look back when I left. I don't know if she watched me go. All I know is, that night broke something in me. Not just rules. Not just promises. Something deeper. I had crossed a line I swore I never would. And there was no undoing it. White heavy check mark. Let me know when you're ready for part 4. The Weight of Silence. Or if you'd like a version adapted for video narration pacing and style. Here is part 4 of the story. The Weight of Silence. Word count. 500. Faceless, emotional closure with reflection, regret, and a lasting emotional impact. Memo Part 4. The Weight of Silence. The next morning everything was different. Not because the sun rose or the rain stopped, but because I did something I couldn't take back. Something that lived in the silence that followed. Lara didn't text. I didn't either. I kept checking my phone anyway, hoping, dreading. The hours dragged. And days. And the space between us grew heavier, as if the moment we shared was too big to exist outside that night. When I saw my friend again, the one I betrayed, I felt sick. He laughed like nothing had changed. And to him nothing had. But I couldn't meet his eyes for long. Every joke, every shared memory hit differently now. Like I didn't deserve to be there. I thought maybe Lara and I would talk about it. Maybe we'd figure out what it meant. But we didn't. When I finally saw her again, we barely spoke. Nod. A glance. And then we both looked away. Pretending, for everyone else's sake, that nothing had happened. But every second was screaming what we couldn't say aloud. I replayed that night over and over in my head. Not because I missed it. Because I couldn't escape it. The way she leaned into me. The sound of her breath. And then, just as vividly, the coldness that followed. I wanted to believe we were both victims of circumstance. That emotions got the better of us. That we were just human. But the truth. We made a choice. We let the line blur. We stepped into the gray. And now, everything was stained by it. The worst part wasn't losing her. It was losing the version of myself I used to be. The one who could say, with confidence, that he never crossed that kind of line. That version of me was gone. I started pulling away from everything. From my friend. From the places we all used to hang out. I made excuses. Took longer to respond. Because every time I was near them I felt like a fraud. I don't know what Lara felt. Maybe guilt. Maybe confusion. Maybe nothing at all. She never said. And I never asked. Some things were easier left unspoken. I still wonder sometimes. What might have happened if we'd stopped before it went too far? If we'd acknowledged the spark but walked away before it turned into fire? But wondering doesn't change anything. What started as an innocent conversation became something I never thought I was capable of. And it left a scar I still carry. Quiet, private reminder. Some lines aren't just rules. They're mirrors. And once you shatter them, you're never quite whole again. It started with a conversation. Few words. A glance. Moment. And somehow, that was all it took to change everything. White heavy check Mark, let me know if you'd like this compiled into a full 2,000-word script or adapted into a YouTube video narration format, with voiceover cues, pacing, music suggestions, etc.